we find ourselves in the middle of a process whenever we return to awareness. We find ourselves in the middle of a process that's coming forth from the depths of the unknown. And we can try to establish different parts of this process and to understand why are things happening the way that they're happening, and yet there will always be layers of this process that remain unknown to us. Because this process includes in it the entire history. What's happening now inside of us is based on everything that happened till now, from the beginning, when the infinite manifested form, going through the process of this form materializing until it becomes matter, going through the process of this matter forming in a shape that is consistent with the spiritual form that is driving it, and then eventually what is now becomes from all these layers of form. This process somehow contains within it all these layers of form, and then it adds form. It adds a new perception, a new state for the physical reality, a new form for the spiritual reality. All this is being created now and is all part of that process. This process caused the one to appear as many. It caused what's within to appear like it's without. It caused a spiritual essence to appear like a physical shape. And so this process is materializing the original essence. This process is a process of revelation, where the essence that cannot be perceived is revealing itself layer upon layer. More and more of the essence is becoming revealed. In order to please our soul, in order to please the soul of the world, we want to learn to align with this process. This process has a beginning that is completely void of any form, and it has a destination where the form no longer contradicts the essence. The essence that is void of form can reveal itself within form without any conflict between the forms. This is the nature of the unity. The unity means that the form is going to testify to the formless, and not that the form will create an appearance of separateness, because in the essence there can be no separateness. In the essence there can be no conflict. So as long as there is separateness and conflict within the form is not complying with the essence. The form is at odds with the essence. This means we are still traveling. We have not arrived at our destination. Something is going to be revealed about the essence that is going to put an end to the conflict. Something is going to be revealed about the essence something is going to be revealed about the essence that removes any separation, that unites all the parts and all the forms. And this is the purpose of the process. If we're going to comply with the process, what does it mean to comply with the process? Complying with the process means we're going to learn how to heal conflict and separation. But not simply on a superficial layer that's not aligned with the source, but on the deepest layers where the source can be revealed. We want the revelation of source. This is our goal. It's not simply to avoid conflict because we don't enjoy it. It's because conflict is at odds with the source. We're trying to eliminate conflict not so that some other type of separation can appear, but so the unity can appear. Not so that our version of reality can be, but so that the ultimate version of reality can be. So the unity means the beginning of the process and the end of the process. That's where the unity is. And the unity is the only reality ever. Within the process, the unity is the only reality, no matter how appearances might fool us. Ani Rishon, I am before the process. Vani Achron, I am after the process. Imi balodai en Elohim, there is no other force, even in the middle of the process. If we take a seed of a fruit and we plant it in the earth, in the seed are the instructions for the process. Then we see a process where we cannot see, we cannot feel, we cannot taste the purpose of the process. We see a process that seems to be void of purpose. And then when the fruits start to grow, we see the process materializing. We say, oh, here it is, but no, if we take a fruit and we try to eat it, it's bitter. It's not yet the end of the process. But by the end of the process, the entire process becomes justified. We can recognize the purpose. We can see why everything that took place was important, why everything that took place needed to happen just so, why there needed to be enough sun and enough water. The end of the process justifies the process. The process itself doesn't have the taste of the end of the process. When the end of the process becomes revealed, the taste of the entire process becomes evident. And so it is with our process. The beginning the unity that is at the root, there we can access through the roots. The end of the unity is the completion of the fruit, where everything is clear. And in the middle of the process, it doesn't have a proper taste. It doesn't have a proper look. It seems unreasonable. That's where we are. And yet, the process is accurate. The process is doing its purpose. The process is right. Our perception of it is wrong. It hasn't been explained to us accurately so that we can align with it. If we were to align with it, biologically, we would feel different. Wisdom is water to the soul that speaks. The soul that speaks cannot survive without wisdom, because then it doesn't know how to align with the design of the body and the design of the higher realms. It gets torn between different layers. Wisdom allows to give each layer its proper importance. It gives a context. And so in order to align with the process, we need wisdom. In order to align with the process, we need to develop the soul that speaks over all the other parts that are lower than it, that are supposed to be directed by the wisdom. The wisdom should align all the forces within us so that we can comply with the divine process. The same wisdom that designed the forces, the same wisdom that designed our body, the same wisdom that operates our body, that wisdom should be revealed within our perception, so that when we receive instructions, it's aligned with that wisdom. It's not at odds. It doesn't create more conflict or separation. In order to comply with the process, we need to believe in the process. If we don't believe or trust the process, it wouldn't be possible for us to comply with the process. If we don't believe and trust in the process, we are rebelling against the process. We might be innocent. It might totally not be our fault. It's because we have seen terrible people do terrible things, and therefore we don't trust the process. But the process is not the people. The process right now is at odds with the people. And so, if we don't believe or trust in the process, we are taking the side of the people who are rebelling against the process. The more we rebel against the process, the less likely we're going to feel that we can believe and trust in the process. Because our state, our awareness is going to cause us harm. If we think we're at odds with the process, we are already hurting ourselves. We are already reducing our capacity. We are already getting less access to life and to intelligence. And so we want to take every precaution so that we can protect our belief and our trust in this process, so that we can remain faithful to what already is and is giving us existence. And then, if we are faithful, if we believe and we trust, only then can we start learning how to comply. How do we not get in the way of this process? How do we not spend what this process is generating on things that are inconsequential to this process, on things that don't matter, on dvarim betelim, things that go extinct. They don't live in the process doesn't care about them. Our survival is, on the one hand, very important to the process, assuming that we are complying with the process. But if we're in conflict with the process, if we're rebelling against the process, our survival is no longer something that's helpful to the process. And so for one who is working with the process, everything he does, whether on the physical realm or on the emotional realm or on the spiritual realm, everything he does, because he is one who is important to the greater good, everything he does for his survival and for his comfort and for his enjoyment so that he can be faithful to the process is part of his worship, is part of his demonstrating his commitment to something that is much greater than any individual. And to the extent that he is showing love to the process will show love to him. To the extent that he is sincere and authentic, he is signaling to all the angels of the universe that he belongs to the one who owns them. And therefore, they're going to interact with him differently. The angels are all part of the process. The angels are only working in accordance with the process. The angels have no other choice. And the angels were designed to serve those who cooperate with the process and to become an obstacle to those who rebel against the process. And so whenever we change our mindset, the big effect that we're going to feel is coming from all over the universe. It's coming from all those who are witnessing how we are directing our existence, and as a result, all of existence. When this process is going to be completed, a much bigger process is going to be revealed. This process that we are witnessing is only a small part of a much bigger process that we cannot yet appreciate, that is too subtle for us to even perceive or interact with. We are still learning how to tune in to the subtle side of our process. We are not yet ready to tune in to the greater process that is much more subtle. This globe has been too noisy for us to hear the divine song. Only when humanity learns how to tone it down, spiritually and emotionally, and physically, will we access an entirely different perception, an entirely different reality, a vibration this planet has never experienced before. This planet is withstanding a tremendous energetic attack by humanity. And it's doing pretty well, considering. It's holding up very nicely. But when we direct our energies to enhance this planet, no one has ever seen how this planet is going to respond, how it's going to feel to be human, how it's going to look to be an animal, or a fruit, or a blade of grass, in that reality, with that vibration. It's a vibration that has no fear. Fear is only from separation and conflict. When there's no separation and conflict, there's no fear. When there's no fear, the soul reveals itself. The more fear in the vibration, the less soul. The authentic soul, the sweetness of the soul, the beauty of the soul, the playfulness of the soul, the deep joy of existence that powers it. This process is a process of adjusting the frequency so that we're tuning into the right reality. As long as the frequency hasn't been properly adjusted, the reality that we are experiencing is at conflict, at direct odds with the actual reality. We are receiving the signals from the universe that say, turn around, this is not the way. Do not continue on this path. These are the signals that the human bodies are experiencing as they are trying to cope with the vibration of this planet at this time. There will be those fools who will give out their frustration on others and further perpetuate the misery. But the way to assist is to turn inward and directly affect the frequency, to become vulnerable with the soul, to reveal your intentions, to make clear that you are not part of this movement that's happening on this planet that creates separation and conflict. The soul is offended by them and by their kind. The soul of the world is at war with those who bring war to this planet. And yet, when the vibration goes to certain levels, war is inevitable. This is the way that the soul is trying to awaken compassion within the individuals. Haven't we seen enough? Hasn't it become bad enough? Shouldn't we change our ways? And so when suffering visits our planet, is simply to awaken compassion. Compassion on humanity itself. Compassion on the human souls that happen to be imprisoned on this planet at this time. Compassion to the process that is happening to the human souls, that is being aggravated and frustrated because man is rebelling against the very process that created him. This compassion reminds us of what should have been. Without this compassion, it might seem that this is accurate, that the soul is okay with it. Who would love such a soul? No one can love a cruel soul. Wisdom is knowing the real compassionate nature of the soul and understanding how from such a compassionate nature can come forth such cruelty, such madness, so that we can return and unite with the soul, so that we can return and believe and trust the process. The more we can learn to silently observe the process, the more we can learn how to comply with the process. The less our sense of self gets entangled in the process, the more our sense of self can become proud of the process. The more our sense of self can represent the process, the more our identity of self will align with the one that was before the process and is going to be revealed after the process. This is the purpose, this is the goal of the process. Our ability to be aware is so that we can assist the process. It's not so that our individual will can start arguing with the greater will, it's so that our individual will can assist as an extension of the greater will in this lower realm, in the realm where lies might seem like truth, in the realm where people dream and then they objectify their dream as if there's an objective truth to it, as if what they're dreaming represents some type of a reality. In this realm, the greater self needs the assistance of the smaller self so that it can conquer the realm of rebellion and illusion that is currently in charge of this planet. Wisdom is the language of the greater self as it reveals itself to the smaller self. It's the language of the collective as it reveals itself to the individual. It's the language of the spiritual as it becomes manifest into the world of speech and into the world of matter. This process, that is the revelation of the greater self, is called the divine name. It's the divine name because this process is calling upon the one so that he reveal himself within the many and unite them as one so that he can be known. And so this process is calling upon the unity, and therefore this process is his name. And the goal is to reveal his name to all of humanity. His name was once known to those who were wise enough to search for it, and then it was forgotten. And then the planet deteriorated and deteriorated and is still deteriorating until we're going to search for His name. We're going to awaken His name. We're going to remember His name. We're going to unite His name. And then, V'hoya Hashem lemelech al kol haaretz, the name will be the king of all the land. Bayom hahu yiyeh Hashem echad ishmo echad. In that day, the king, the divine one, will be one, just like He always was and always will be. But here's the other part. His name will be one. There will only be one process happening on this planet. There will be no conflict between the processes. There will be no separation between individuals, because He will be one and His name will be one forever and ever.